Hi guys, this is Timotheus. In this video, I'll introduce the Roman gladiator type called Retiarius. If you haven't seen the video where I introduce the 7 most popular gladiator types of Imperial Rome, I suggest you check that out first. The link is in the description below. Okay, enjoy.
The word Retiarius derived from rete, which is Latin for net. This gladiator's name could therefore be translated as net fighter or net man. He's the only one of the popular types of gladiators to have equipment that is not based on military equipment. He looks like he's about to go fishing more than anything else. Like most gladiators, the Retiarius wears a subligaculum or loincloth kept in place by a balteus or belt. He's the only one of the 7 most popular types of gladiators to wear his manica or arm protector on the left side instead of on the right side. Attached to it is a galerus or shoulder guard. On this photograph you can see an original galerus made of iron. Since the Retiarius doesn't have a shield, he needs the galerus to protect his face. If he keeps his head down and his left shoulder pointed towards his opponent, he can cover a good part of his head. Just like the Hoplomachus, who also fights with a pole weapon, the Retiarius has a pugio or dagger in his left hand. This pugio that was found in the gladiator barracks in Pompeii may have been used by a Retiarius. Note that this pugio, like most Roman pugiones, has a shape that is similar to that of the Greek Xiphos, rather than that of the Roman Gladius, although it's a lot shorter than both, obviously. Then of course there's a trident, fuscina or tridens in Latin, arguably the most characteristic weapon of the Retiarius. Tridents were used for spearfishing in antiquity, as they still are today in some parts of the world. The god of the sea, Neptunus, Poseidon in Greek, is also famously depicted carrying a fuscina. This is an original part of a Retiarius' fuscina. As the pole it was attached to was made out of wood, it wasn't preserved, unfortunately. The rete or net is at least as remarkable a weapon as the fuscina. The Retiarius would throw the heavy net at his opponent to try and entangle him, possibly tripping him or otherwise forcing him into a vulnerable position. The rete was sometimes attached to the Retiarius' wrist, so that the Retiarius could retrieve the net when he had missed, or, if he did manage to trap his adversary, he could try and pull him out of balance. Many depictions show the Retiarius without the rete though, which suggests that he sometimes discarded the net anyway, possibly because the net got tangled up and couldn't be untangled quickly enough. Besides, holding 3 weapons at a time isn't very practical. The fact that a net is difficult for an artist to render may also explain why there are so many reliefs and mosaics that show a Retiarius without his rete. The Hoplomachus had a pole weapon as well, but he had to carry a dagger and a shield in his left hand, which meant that he was forced to hold a spear with just one hand. The Retiarius, on the contrary, only had the small dagger in his left hand, so he could use both of his hands to wield his fuscina after he had cast his net. Not only does this allow for much more precision when executing an attack, it also lets the wielder keep his weapon firmly in place. When you hold a pole weapon in one hand, it's way easier for an opponent to push the sharp end aside with a shield or a sword. The traditional opponent of the Retiarius was the fish-like Secutor. The Retiarius did not have a heavy shield, a helmet, or a greave to weigh him down, so he could move about much quicker than the Secutor could, and he could even run around to try and wear out his opponent. By trapping him in his rete, the Retiarius could drastically limit the Secutor's movements and therefore his ability to defend himself against an attack. Alternatively, he could use his rete to trip him up or drag him to the ground before attacking him with his fuscina. This mosaic shows a Retiarius attacking a Secutor. The person in the back, in the white tunica, is a referee. On the downside, if the Secutor could avoid the net and move past the prongs of the trident somehow, he had plenty of unprotected body parts to choose from, as this mosaic shows. The Retiarius to the left raises his finger to signal he gives up and asks for mercy, or missio, as blood gushes out of his left leg. In a situation like this, the editor, which is the person who paid for the fight, typically a rich public figure, would decide whether the loser should be spared or killed by the victor. If he wanted to win the crowd's favor, which is likely because that's the whole point of organizing gladiatorial games to begin with, he would take the reaction of the crowd into account when making his decision. So, this concludes my video series on the 7 most popular gladiator types of Imperial Rome. If you haven't seen any of the other videos yet, the links are in the description below, and as always, you can check out my blog post for references. If you're interested in Roman culture and religion, do subscribe to my channel for more videos, if you haven't already, that is. I try to upload regularly. By the way, my channel hit the 2,000 views mark earlier this week, which, objectively speaking, isn't too impressive, I guess, but I'm pretty proud of it anyway, so thank you all. Special thanks to John for always taking the time to comment on my videos. This was Timotheus. Thanks for watching.